Malik took a larger bowl and poured the garri into it. The garri flowed out, filling the bowl to the brim, yet a small bowl still held the same amount. Overwhelmed, Malik's heart raced with the excitement and gratitude. By morning, he had filled all the empty bowls in their home with garri and groundnut. In the lush village of Zaki, a humble boy named Malik lived with his father in a small thatched hut. Life for Malik and his father was marked by hardship and relentless poverty. Their lives were a daily struggle to find enough to eat, and it wasn't uncommon for them to go hungry for days. The burden of debt weighed heavily on their shoulders, and the creditors' harassment was a constant reminder of their plight. Malik's mother, Amina, had been a beacon of hope and kindness, even in the face of their struggles. She always found something to give to those worse off than them. A piece of bread here, a kind word there. "Generosity will make way for you, Malik," she would say, her eyes filled with unwavering belief. It was her nature to help, and she believed that the spirit of giving was more important than the size of the gift. However, life took a cruel turn when she fell ill. They couldn't afford the medicine she needed, and after a few agonizing days, she passed away, leaving Malik and his father heartbroken and even more destitute. Her words of generosity echoed in Malik's mind, but they seemed distant and impossible in their current reality. For days, Malik mourned his mother's death, the pain of loss mingling with the harshness of their situation. Their debt grew, and the creditors became more ruthless. Malik had to drop out of school because they couldn't afford the fees. Instead, he started working at a groundnut farm to make some money to support his father and himself. It was grueling work, but Malik did it without complaint. One day, the village buzzed with excitement about a wise teacher who was traveling from village to village, spreading his wisdom and sharing insights into life. He was said to have a way with words that touched people's hearts and minds. Malik's friends urged him to join them to listen to this teacher. "Malik, you have to come," his friend Juma insisted. "This teacher is unlike anyone we've ever heard. You won't regret it." "All right, Juma, I'll come," Malik replied, feeling a heavy heart but not wanting to disappoint his friend. That morning, Malik packed his only meal for the day, a small bottle of groundnut and a bowl of garri. He followed his friends to the large gathering where the teacher spoke. The teacher's words were captivating. He spoke of love, kindness, and the power of community. Malik found himself drawn in, the teacher's wisdom providing a brief respite from his grief and worries. "Love is the essence of life," the teacher said, his voice calm and soothing. "In our unity and generosity, we find true abundance." As the day turned to evening, the crowd grew restless with hunger. The teacher, noticing this, paused and asked, "Does anyone have food that he can share? I would like to eat something." The teacher's servant began moving through the crowd, asking if anyone had food to spare. When one of the servants approached Malik, he instinctively looked away, clutching his small meal tightly. "This may be the only meal I have to eat for the next 3 days. I can't give it out," he thought to himself. It wasn't only Malik who didn't want to share. Many villagers also hid their food and snacks. "Do you have any food to share?" the servant asked, looking hopeful. Malik hesitated, his grip tightening around his small bowl of gari and groundnuts. "No," he muttered, looking away. The idea of sharing it felt almost impossible. As the servant moved on, Malik's mother's face appeared in his mind, her kind eyes and gentle voice reminding him of her teachings about generosity. He sighed deeply, feeling her presence and hearing her words as if she were right beside him. "Remember, Malik," her voice echoed in his mind. "Generosity will make a way for you." Malik called the servant back. "Wait," he said, holding out a small bottle of groundnut and bowl of gari. "Take this to the teacher." The servant took the offering and brought it to the teacher, who smiled warmly. The teacher raised the small meal to the sky, blessing it and giving thanks. When he finished his prayer, a gentle breeze blew through the plains and a sense of peace settled over the crowd. Then he invited everyone to come and share the meal. "Come, my friends," the teacher announced. "Let us give thanks and share in this blessing." As the teacher's servant began to distribute the food, something miraculous happened. The small portions of gari and groundnuts began to multiply. The more they poured out, the more they seemed to be. The crowd gasped in amazement as they watched the food grow into heaps, enough to feed everyone present. People ate their fill, and still there was plenty left over. Others from the village who had not attended the teaching came to take the leftovers, ensuring no one went hungry that night. "Who offered this meal?" the teacher asked, looking around. The servant pointed to Malik, who stood shyly among the crowd. The teacher approached him with a grateful smile. "Thank you, young one," the teacher said, placing his hand on Malik's shoulder. "Your generosity has brought abundance to us all. Because you gave your only meal, you will never lack again." Malik was astonished and humbled by the teacher's words. Though he didn't understand it much, he smiled and thanked the teacher, collected his bowl and bottle, which were miraculously still full, and headed home. That night, as Malik reminisced on the teacher's lesson, he became a little hungry. He poured some groundnut into his hand, then some more. Amazingly, the bottle remained full. He did the same with the gari, and it too never depleted. His eyes widened in disbelief. Malik took a larger bowl and poured the gari into it. The gari flowed out, filling the bowl to the brim, yet a small bowl still held the same amount. Overwhelmed, Malik's heart raced with the excitement and gratitude. By morning, he had filled all the empty bowls in their home with gari and groundnut. At first light, Malik rushed out to find the teacher, but the wise man had already left the village. Taking a moment to think, Malik fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. He was overwhelmed with gratitude, realizing the profound truth in his mother's words. Generosity had indeed made a way for him. From that day on, Malik used his miraculous blessing to provide food for the needy in Zaki and other nearby villages. His generosity became well known and people began to seek him out for help and comfort. With the constant supply of gari and groundnuts, Malik also started selling them, quickly becoming the largest seller in the kingdom. "Everyone come," Malik would say. "There is enough for all. Take what you need and share with others." Malik's fortune transformed and he was able to pay off his father's debts, They no longer lived in fear of creditors. Despite his newfound wealth, Malik never forgot his mother's teachings. He used his resources to help others, ensuring that his mother's legacy of generosity lived on. Years passed and Malik became synonymous with kindness and generosity. He was not just a wealthy merchant, but also a beloved figure who used his blessings to uplift others. His home became a place of refuge and support for those in need. One day, while reflecting on his journey, Malik spoke to his father. "Father, do you remember how hard life was and how mother always gave what little we had?" His father nodded, tears in his eyes. "Yes, Malik, she had a heart of gold, and she would be so proud of the man you have become." Malik smiled, feeling his mother's presence around him. "I miss her every day, but I know she is watching over us, guiding us with her love and wisdom." And so, my audience, Malik's life continued to be a testament of the power of generosity. His mother's words had not only shaped his destiny, but also transformed the lives of countless others. Malik's story spread far and wide, inspiring people to give selflessly, knowing that true abundance comes from the heart. Through Malik's journey, the village of Zaki learned a profound lesson that in the act of giving, no matter how small, lies the key to creating miracles and transforming lives. Thank you for listening. As always, I would love to hear from you. Please share what you have learned from this story in the comment section. Until we meet again, stay blessed and stay kind.